This project looks at a few of the environmental conditions that are negatively impacting the populations of the foothill yellow-legged frog. This topic has long interested me because frogs are an indicator species that is rapidly disappearing from our U.S. landscapes due to a variety of environmental and man-made factors, including pesticide runoff, pollution, and the introduction of feral species into their habitats. Throughout this course, I used the study area in the Trinity River. I also used the Landsat 7 and 8 images from 2002 and 2019, GMTED elevation data, and land cover data to look at the area and see if there was any further information that could be gleaned from remote sensing. The foothill yellow-legged frog has experienced a very steep decline over the past few years in its populations due to a variety of reasons, mainly the impact of artificially cool waters and water releases that affect reproduction and growth rates of the frogs. My research revealed that the foothill yellow-legged frog habitat extends from southern Baja California to as far north as Oregon. They are unique in that they produce a chemical that protects them from fungi infections. Several environmental issues seem to be seriously affecting their populations, such as pesticides and water diversion, that results in much lower water temperatures that negatively impact their breeding phenology. This is the information about the study area. It is centered near Weaverville in northwest California. USGS conducted a study of foothill yellow-legged frogs in this area from 2013 to 2017. Most of the area is heavily forested. Trinity County is also one of the least populated counties in California, and as a result has limited development. Logging is prevalent in this area and was easily detected using remote sensing, comparing land cover changes. These are the data sources that were used for this project. Images downloaded from USGS Earth Explorer from August 2002 and August 2019 were used in labs throughout this project. USGS frog sighting locations from the 2013-2017 Foothill Yellow-Legged Frog Study were used in the following few slides, along with data extracted from elevation data. Imagery and land cover data showed much of the study area is heavily forested and logged periodically. Water temperature data was available from the summer months of June through August for the USGS study and depicted later. The main factors affecting frog populations and reproduction, according to USGS and several other studies, are water temperatures that are kept artificially low to support fisheries, and periodic water releases during early stages, which can scour egg masses attached to rocks and larvae and flush them downstream. The cold waters of the Trinity River also slow the development of frogs from tadpoles to juveniles, which makes them very vulnerable to predators for a much longer period. Pesticides and pollutants flowing into the Trinity River are another factor in the disappearance of foothill yellow-legged frogs. This table shows the elevation values of the locations where frogs were sighted in the USGS study. The data was extracted from GM-TED data and joined to the frog sighting feature class using the extract values to points function in ArcGIS Pro, which adds a column to the feature layer containing the value of the elevation raster cell. The same process was used for slope data, which showed that the river generally follows a gentle slope. This map depicts a combination of water temperatures and frog survey results overlaid on an elevation map. The water temperature areas were from the survey, but not all had frog sightings. Some of the areas without frog sightings were among the coolest areas surveyed. Frog sightings are displayed by life stage with the colors for each stage of life shown in the legend. Comparisons of land cover show areas of logging, but the impact to the Trinity River watershed is unclear, as is the impact to the frog or other wildlife populations. This particular map compares land cover changes from 2002 to 2019. One of the problems I ran into during the lab on land cover classification was that the water source of the Trinity River was often only 1 pixel or less wide and was difficult to classify as a result. One area of further study would be to create a watershed from elevation data to examine water flow. Then compare areas of logging with creeks and tributaries to see if any of the logging runoff could impact wildlife in the Trinity River. NDVI comparisons of the study area show changes in vegetation health. One of the things that I would have liked to be able to determine from this type of analysis is the vegetation along the river. The pixel resolution was too coarse to be a value determining the changes in vegetation that the foothill yellow-legged frogs rely upon for cover and concealment during reproduction and the early life stages. The raster data showed many interesting things in the study area, including land cover changes. But in general, the resolution was not sufficient to determine new information about the foothill yellow-legged frog. Landsat was good for detecting general changes across a large landscape, but not as useful for looking at very small, specific details. Additional feature data on the distribution of foothill yellow-legged frogs in some of the tributaries, creeks, and smaller rivers may have been very helpful, but the USGS study was confined to the main river and some of the confluence areas, presumably due to cost and time, needed to go further into the hills to look for the frogs. Additional imagery at a higher resolution could be useful, but most commercial imagery, such as digital globe, is cost prohibitive. Newer imagery sources, such as Planet or Sentinel, have higher resolution, but only go back a few years. The higher resolution imagery also requires considerable processing time compared to Landsat. Additional feature data would have been useful for this project, but unfortunately was not readily available.